Hi, good afternoon, or good morning, or good evening. My name is Patrick Morin, and my topic for this week's discussion, forgive me if I'm looking down, there's just a lot of information, and I'm only going to cover a very little bit of it due to time. I picked Godly Republicanism and the Origins of the Massachusetts Polity by Michael P. Winship. So, the area that I would really like to cover is just how much the Presbyterians influenced our current form of government. Um, and all of it stems from essentially the fear of Catholicism or Anglicanism and central authority. So the Presbyterians hated Catholics and hated Anglicans. Um, there's some good reason for it. All the wars in Europe around the time between Catholics and Protestants. But the Presbyterians kind of took it a step further, and anything that may have seemed like it would have been centralized authority or the risk of centralized authority, they came out vehemently against it. So, for example, the Presbyterians wished to see the Church of England remodeled along the lines of a continental Calvinist churches, governed not by bishops but by classes and synods, or associations of ruling lay and ministerial elders from individual churches. Kind of like the traditional Orthodox, where you don't have a pope, you have bishops. The Pope in the Roman Catholic sphere of things used to be similar to them. They called them the first among equals, but then the Pope and the Orthodox Catholics split in 1054. So the Presbyterians are pretty much almost like the traditional Orthodox Catholics in the sense that they didn't like centralized authority and believed in a ruling body versus more of a ruling person or ruler. Presbyterians saw their church system not only in opposition to tyranny, but also in crucial ways as a prophylactic against tyranny. So, absolute rule, in other words, was not simply the opposite of Presbyterianism, it was the defining other that gave Presbyterianism much of its Republican logic. So, they often spoke out against pope like or proud, pontifical, and tyrannous rebels and traitors unto God. That's how they felt about Catholics and centralized authority. So their answer was by finding good men to lead and not have the one man rule over the many was essentially their main argument. And they felt that way because they argued that bishops often wrongfully usurped the role of Christ and thought of themselves as vicars. And second, the office of bishop was also wrong because it invariably brought to the surface a sinister force much dreaded in civic republicanism, so excessive power. And they also spoke about the potential tyranny of the many. So they also felt that there's a line in the Patriot, why should I trade one tyrant 10,000 miles away for 10,000 tyrants 1 mile away? And that's kind of the same way they thought. Why we should have checks and balances against that. So there's two different ruling bodies, one for the church, one for the people, one civic, one church. And through them, they would have a checks and balance system similar to the way we have our Congress structured today, and even our government with three co-equal branches. So that's just the most fascinating part about all of this, and it's incredibly detailed. I recommend this reading.